We're talking today about how to register and organise your travel and visa for the 23rd International Passive House Conference, which is going to be held in Gaobeidian, China, as you all know, and that's in cooperation with our local partners, China International Windoor City. So I will be giving an introduction to the conference first, to the webinar, and then an overview of the conference procedure and the schedule for the conference. Then we'll be diving into the conference registration process, the visa process and how to navigate that. Then travel to the conference, answering some of the questions we've already had on that and providing you the best information to get to Gaobeidian, China. And then we'll have a question and answer section where you can fire in any questions, maybe on specific things that affect you, and we'll be answering those for you. It's going to take approximately 60 minutes, this session this afternoon, based on our session this morning for our individuals in the Asia Pacific region. So that's myself there on the left, from IFA, and I'm also joined today by Luzia Teinert from PHI, who is our Passive House Conference team member today, who's been working to get the conference together. And we're also lucky enough to be joined by Yaling Sao, who is the Passive House liaison to China International Windoor City, and who handles a lot of the back and forth between our two organisations. So between the three of us, we should be able to answer any of your questions and hopefully give you the best advice to get to the conference. So without further ado, we'll move on to the actual conference itself. As you all know, the conference is going to be held from the 9th to the 11th of October. The 9th and 10th of October are the dates for the presentations and the exhibitions. So they're the two primary conference days. The 11th of October is the day that has been set aside for excursions to notable passive house projects in and around the Gaobeidian area of China, which, if you don't already know, is about 1 hour south of Beijing. Okay, so as I said, the conference is from the 9th to 11th of October. On the program section of the website, you'll be able to see the additional events that are in and around the conference itself. So we have workshops on the Tuesday before the conference and on the Saturday and Sunday, the 12th and the 13th, after the conference. Now, on Tuesday the 8th, the workshops that we have are basic workshops. They are also all in Chinese and mostly targeted at the local Chinese passive house community. So unless you're fluent in Chinese, I would suggest not booking those because they're not going to be translated into English. Those events are purely in Chinese. But for our international guests, we do have our advanced workshops taking place on the Saturday and Sunday. Now, all of those workshops are in English and only in English. So on Saturday the 12th, we have half-day workshops. We have, for instance, the District PH workshop, which will be presented by the District PH tool creator, Dr. Jürgen Schneiders of PHI. We also have an air tightness workshop, a BIM to PH workshop, which should be of particular interest for all of those architects or engineers who work with 3D drafting tools like Revit and Archicad. We also have an energy efficient hot water systems workshop, a commissioning and monitoring workshop, and a cooling and dehumidification workshop. And if you're currently suffering through the European heat wave, that might be very interesting for you all. Just a note on the Saturday workshops and the Sunday workshops. Our system would allow you, when you're registering, and I will point it out later, to book workshops for the same time. And so as you can see, there are multiple workshops at the same time. So please make sure when selecting one of these that you don't double book yourself, but I will remind you later on during the registration process. On Sunday, we actually have 3 all-day workshops. They are thermal bridge calculation, ventilation, and a masterclass on windows. So those are the 3 full-day workshops on the Sunday. Also, on the Saturday and Sunday, we have an additional event, and that is the Train the Trainer course. This is an event that is targeted to individuals who are looking to become a Passive House approved course provider. If you are interested in becoming a course provider or the Train the Trainer workshop, you need to send us an email ahead of time to designer@passive.de to register for that course. But again, that's purely for people looking to become an approved course provider. Okay, so that provides an overview of the technical events in and around the conference. But we also, of course, have several social events, which I'll just get to now, just to give you an overview. The 2 primary social events are the Passive House Networking Party. That is an event which all people are invited to, and that's part of your conference ticket. And you don't have an additional charge for that event. That is going to be held on the 9th of October in the evening from 6 p.m. And obviously so that's on the opening night of the conference itself. And then we have the EFA dinner for members of the International Passive House Association. That is going to be held on the following evening on Thursday the 10th from 6:30 p.m. If you would like to attend the EFA dinner, you need to send either an email to phc-service@Windor-City here or conference@passive.de to book your ticket for the EFA dinner. And that information is here in this blurb that hopefully everyone can see right now. The EFA dinner is not included in your conference ticket, so you'll be charged separately for that. But as I said before, the Passive House Networking Party is for everyone and is free and part of your conference ticket. I'm sorry, so the EFA dinner, I just had to make a slight correction. The EFA dinner itself is actually free. So for all EFA members who want to go, the EFA dinner is free. All you need to do to register for the dinner is send us an email. So my apologies before, but that EFA dinner is free. Just a note on those 2 events, they are being held outside in a lovely area in the International Windor-City Conference Zone, but they will be held outside from 6 p.m. In mid-October. So please make sure that you do have some warm clothes that you might want to wear to those events, because it's possible that they might get a little bit chilly in the evening because they are outdoor events. Okay, so that takes us to an overview of the conference itself, the events around it, and now we'll jump into the actual registration process. So if you go up to the registration tab on the website, like I'm doing now, you'll be able to see 2 subsections, which is the fees, which will explain to you the costs associated with the registering and the actual events around the conference, such as the workshop, and then a section on the visa. But all the information in these sections is actually included in the registration process itself. So we're going to jump straight into the registration. So once you get to the start the process, you'll have to select a type of ticket. There are 3 main types of ticket, as you can see here. We have one for an exhibitor, a speaker, and a standard ticket. So exhibitor tickets are obviously for those members of the companies who are attending and are exhibitors in the actual conference exhibition hall. Speakers are for the individuals who've been selected to present presentations, including poster presentations at the event. So if you are one of our speakers, please select that subset. And then for everyone else, you take the standard ticket, which I'll be doing today. You then have the opportunity to apply whether you're a member of EFA, EGAE Passive House, or Passive House Austria, which of course will provide you a slight discount on the cost of attending the conference. So in this instance, I'm actually going to select no for that. and then we can move on. But before I do, I'll just mention that before the 31st of July and the end of this month, a early bird registration discount applies. So if you register before the end of this month, you will receive a discount, which is approximately 150 euros on the cost of your ticket to the conference. Okay, so I'll start the registration process now. And then we get to, so this is very important, this is the conference days. And here you have the option to select two types of ticket. You have conference ticket only and conference ticket including hotel. It's very important for our international guests and people coming from overseas to please select conference ticket including hotel. The conference ticket only is an option that is basically primarily for local Chinese citizens who don't require either a hotel or will have no difficulty obviously booking a hotel in China. But for all our international guests, we have the conference ticket including hotel. The primary reason for that is Gaobeidian is not a large city, nor is it a city that is specifically a tourist city. It's a business, residential, industrial area, and as such has limited numbers of hotels that can welcome foreigners to Gaobeidian. So as a result, in conjunction with Windor City, we have organised all of those hotels that can accept foreigners. We have special rates at each of those hotels and rooms set aside for all our international guests. So that is the primary reason. One of the other significant reasons is that we have arranged shuttle buses from each of the participating hotels to and from the conference location, which is a significant distance from each of the hotels. It's not, for instance, like the conference location is right next to a hotel and is walking distance. So and Gaobeidian itself doesn't have a significant public transport system, so therefore it's very important that you select a conference ticket including hotel and make use of the hotels and the shuttle bus service to make your stay as easy as possible. As you can see here, the cost of both tickets is listed. It's 4,700 yuan, the local Chinese currency, for that, and that is the amount you will be billed for the conference if you select that ticket. 611 euros and 58 cents. That's simply an estimate at the time of what 4,700 yuan is. So, but that's the amount you will be billed. So it's just important to make that distinction for you in case you see an amount finally which is different to this euro amount here. Okay, so just to recap, your ticket, conference ticket, which would include your hotel, will include your hotel stay for the 3 nights of the conference, through the 9th to the 11th in Gaobeidian. It includes admission to the conference itself. It also includes admission to the evening events, the networking party, and if you're an IFA member, and send us a email, of course, the IFA dinner itself. That conference ticket doesn't provide you access to the workshops for free. That's an additional cost, and we'll get to that in just a moment. The conference ticket, of course, also includes the excursions on the Friday, the 11th of October. So that's what is included in that cost. Okay, so most of this information that I've just relayed to you is also in here, but hopefully I've clarified that distinction for everyone. So moving on, we are booking our hotel through Windor City. And now we come to the ability to select the excursions on the 11th of October. Yep.
So I'm going to talk for just one moment. So this is Luzia Teinert. I just wanted to add that in the conference ticket is also included the translation of all lectures to English and Chinese, as well as the excursions. So they are translated to Chinese and English as well.
Okay, thank you, Luzia. Okay, so 2 hour tours on the Friday. And as Lucy just pointed out, they are in English and Chinese. So please bear that in mind when you come to select this, if you don't speak English or Chinese. So we have 3 tours on the Friday. The first tour, tour number 1, is to Bahnstadt Gaobeidian, which is obviously local. The Bahnstadt, as many of you know, will actually be the largest passive house district in the world when it's finally complete. And it's a significantly large, obviously a significantly large project. The number of people who can attend that tour is significant, and that won't run out. So you can book a place for that and be assured you'll be able to tour the Bahnstadt. Tour 2 is to Beijing, where we'll be seeing residential and non-residential projects in Beijing itself. That's going to commence from 9 a.m. on the Friday. The places for that tour are limited. So if you wish to travel to Beijing to see those properties and projects, then it's probably necessary to book that sooner rather than later. The same applies to the third tour, which is to Zhuozhou. I apologize for my poor Chinese pronunciation, but I'm doing my best. That's all begins at 9:30 on the Friday. That tour, just like the tour to Beijing, also has limited places available. So if you wish to travel to Zhuozhou to see the residential and non-residential projects there, you should book that sooner than later. We also have an option where you can select not to do an excursion here. But for the purposes today, I'll be selecting a tour to Beijing and continuing on. Then we get to your selection of the workshops. There's a note here, and I'll just remind you again to make sure you avoid scheduling conflicts, because there are obviously multiple workshops on at the same time. So please ensure you don't double book yourself. We also want to note that the fee for the workshop does not include additional hotel accommodation. So I will point out during the registration process how you indicate to make a booking for additional hotel days if you're going to attend one of our very interesting workshops. But the cost of those workshops is not included, the hotel is not included in the workshop fee. So we have the 3 workshops on the Tuesday before the conference, and I won't select any of those because I don't speak Chinese. But I will be attending, let's say, the District PH workshop. And then on the Sunday, I'll be attending the ventilation workshop. As you can see, the cost of each workshop is in yuan, with an estimate of €1 cost underneath the workshop in question. So once you select your workshops, you just press continue on to the next phase, and that'll take us to selecting the events. So as I pointed out before, the Passive House Networking Party is included and is free of charge to everyone attending. So it's automatically selected here for you. So at this point, you really don't have anything to do. You could obviously deselect it, but we really hope to see everyone there. It'll be a great opportunity to mingle with everyone. So we just continue on. And that gets us to the beginning of the data input stage. Okay, so obviously the first thing I need to do is put in a name. So putting in John Doe. And then here we've got profile photo. Now, this is underneath here, it says optional, and it is optional, but we highly recommend that you do supply a profile picture. The reason is that these profile pictures will be placed on your conference pass, and they will form as part of the ID system for entry into the conference. And if you have your photo on your badge, it will make things much smoother in the security and entry phase to each of the zones. So we would suggest that you load up here a photo for your pass to make it life easier for you. You need a photo that is similar to this one. So basically a head and shoulders shot of yourself, similar to what you would be doing for a passport photo. But having said that, you don't. The rules for this photo are not as strict as, for instance, for a passport photo. But this is similar to the types. They're not a full body shot, but just a head and photo shot. Okay. So back to the information. So I won't put a photo in there right now, but I'll put an address in. And we're coming from Germany. Oops, no, we're coming from Greece. And a phone number. And then importantly, your email. You have the option to enter in a second email, for instance, if you have a company email address, should that be necessary. Then it's also, you have the option to select the communication language. So we have three options there: German, English, and Chinese. So our colleagues at Windor City have German and English speaking staff, as well as obviously their Chinese staff. And if you, it's important you select the right language for you to make all the communication from this point on much simpler. So I'll be selecting English for myself. You then need to select your sector. So I'll be going with energy consulting today. The organisation that you represent, so your company, but of course this is optional. And then you can tell us how you heard about the conference. And then we come to the comment section, and this is an important section. So there's a number of things to go through here. So primarily the comment section is used to let Windor City know if you have additional requirements and needs with your booking. So one of the primary ones is if you are traveling with a group of people. So for instance, if you are an exhibitor and your company is sending multiple staff, and you are traveling together, or if, for instance, you are coming with just a group of people you know, and you wish to be located in the same hotel, this is where you put that information in to ensure you stay in the right hotel. So for that situation, you would put in, I am traveling in a group with, and then list the names of the people you are traveling with. So in this case, I'll be traveling with Yaling now and Luzia Teinert. This will let the staff at Windor City, when they are booking the hotel, arrange so that, for instance, myself, Yaling and Luzia will all be in the same hotel. So that's one of the reasons to apply, to put in here in the comment section, to arrange group travel and accommodation together. The second reason is if you are traveling in a large group and you wish to apply for the group booking discount, so for instance, there are 5 or more of you or a significant number traveling together, then you can apply for that here by simply typing something of the sort, we would like to apply for the group discount. Okay. Now, before we mentioned that when booking a workshop, that the fee that you are for the workshop doesn't include your hotel stay, and our conference ticket only includes the hotel stay for the 9th to 11th. So if you're attending a workshop, it's important to indicate this here, and that will allow Windor City to give you the details to extend the stay at your hotel that you are booked into for the workshop. So to basically book the additional days at the hotel to stay there. So to do that, you simply write, I am attending a workshop on Saturday and Sunday, or whatever your case is. I wish to book additional hotel days. By doing this, that will let our colleagues at Windor City know that they need to reply to you with the details of the hotel so that you can extend your stay and pay for those additional days. The other important thing in the comment section is if you are traveling to Gaobeidian, China, with your partner, it's necessary to put in the name that you are traveling with your partner and the name of your partner into this section. So if you do that, for instance, I am traveling with my partner. Her name is Jane Smith. By doing that, that will allow Windor City to ensure that you and your partner are booked in the same room. Now, to register your partner, you have to do that here by putting her name in there. But to register her with the official Windor City, you will actually need to do a second registration process for him or her. And when you do that, you do not select a standard ticket, you select a speaker ticket, because the speaker ticket for your partner will only allow, will charge her for him or her for the evening events and the hotel stay itself. And it won't actually grant him or her, or your partner, access to the conference itself. So there'll be a reduced fee for that for the speaker. But it will allow your partner to accompany you on the excursions. So not access to the conference on the 9th or the 10th, but they will be able to travel with you to the excursions. When you do register your partner using the speaker type of ticket, that will also mean that they receive a letter of invitation from Windor City, which we'll get to in a moment, just as you will, to get your Chinese visas. Okay, so I've put in that I'm traveling with my partner, and her name is Jane Smith. So now we can move on to the next section. And that is the visa. Now, I'll just give you a short note. If for some reason you don't have a valid passport right now, or you've discovered you need to renew your passport like some people, because you will need 6 months validity on your passport after the conference dates to enter China, which is a similar amount for any country such as Australia or Germany or US. If you don't have your passport right now, you can actually skip this step to register yourself for the conference and then contact Windor City with your passport details once you have your valid passport to get your letter of invitation. But we'll assume right now that I have my passport, and I'm going to fill in the information here and get my letter of invitation from Windor City. So I just want to reply to one question from Junru Shen. So does the speaker ticket for the speaker cover the full conference? So yes, if you're a speaker and you select the speaker ticket, that covers you for your accommodation through the 9th to 11th of October and entrance to the conference and the excursions. So that covers everything for the speaker. It doesn't cover additional costs should you choose to do a workshop, but it does cover everything for the speaker for the conference. The only difference being for a partner is that it doesn't cover conference entry, as I made clear before. Okay, so back to my visa. So please be certain that when you enter the information into this section, that it completely matches what is in your passport, because it's necessary for the passport information and the information that's entered here, which will appear on your letter of invitation from Windor City, to match. Should they not, then you won't be successful in getting a visa. So I will put in male, January 1st, let's say I'm quite young. Nationality, I am from Australia. My passport number is something like that. The validity of my passport is from, say, 2014, and it will expire in 2024. My organisation that I'll be travelling with, obviously that's not on your passport, but you can put that in here. My position, so engineer. And then the dates that you will be in China for. I just want to make mention that these aren't the dates that will appear on your letter of invitation. The dates that will appear on your letter of invitation from Windor City will be the dates of the conference, the 9th to 11th of October. Please don't be alarmed by that. The letter of invitation, which is directly from Windor City, is simply what you require to get your visa and the dates which you'll be attending that institution. But here you can select when you will actually be in China. So October, for instance, the 5 to say the 16th, because I'll go and see the Great Wall. Okay, so from this point on, you'll need to select down here, which is to do with data retention laws, and then we can continue on. Okay, this is an important step. I know it's on many things, but given that we're applying for a visa, it's really necessary to check and confirm your personal details. So I'm John Doe from Greece, attending the conference. I have all my information there correctly. Importantly, I check the information that's right here, which will be used to generate my letter of invitation. And then I have my selections for the conference, so that the total price that I'll be paying for the conference. And I can check what I've booked. So I've got my conference ticket, including my hotel, my Passive House networking party, my tour to Beijing, and I've got I've selected 3, accidentally selected 2 on Saturday. So I've got 3 additional workshops. And then that will add up to your final amount here. Now, you won't be asked for a credit card right now if you haven't done this process already. What you will be asking for or be sent in the next few days once you complete your registration is a bank transfer invoice to make the payment by bank transfer. It's probably important that you ensure the bank transfer information on your invoice matches what is published online here. And we can open it up and have a look right now. Okay, so in the fees section, you'll be able to come down to payment and see that the information for the bank transfer is right here. Please double check that that's what is on the invoice, because that's where you'll be directing your money. So please check that. And once you have checked that, you'll be able to pay the invoice without any difficulty. So once I've checked all my data here, including my comments, which I've made clear is pretty important, you can then select just a couple of things here. You've got list of participants, where you can agree to have your name in the participants book that is produced for every conference. Or if you do not wish to have your name in there, you can select no here. But I am not shy, so I will put in yes. And then we have our terms and conditions and GDPR compliance section. So I will say that I've read the terms and conditions, the privacy policy, and just to make you aware that photos and videos will be taken at the conference by PHI and other people, and they will be used for advertising purposes, just to make you aware of that. Okay, and at this point here, we can press confirm booking. That will send all of your data to our partners at Windor City, who will begin your registration process. When you press confirm booking, you will then receive a booking email. And I did that this morning, so I'd just like to show you what the email looks like. So you'll receive an email from conference@passive.de, Passive Health Conference up here, telling you that you have successfully registered for the conference, and it'll have all your information that you've just checked. Importantly, down here, it will also include, you can double check your selections for your days, just to make sure that the invoice you'll be sent is correct. Okay, so all that information will be sent to you via email. Okay, let's move that out of the way. And that concludes the A registration. Now, as I said before, if you are going with your partner, you'll need to repeat this process, but selecting the speaker ticket, and then in the comments section indicating that they are a partner and that they are traveling with you, and make sure that you have your name in there, which will allow you to be sent to the same hotel. So, and just a note on workshops and hotels. So the workshops themselves are not going to be held on the conference site location. The workshops will be held at the primary main hotel for the conference. So if you select workshops, our colleagues at Windoor City will place you in the hotel that the workshops are being held, which will make it very obviously much easier to attend the workshops. Okay, so that concludes the registration and visa section. Before I finish, I just want to show you what the letter of invitation you will receive is. So this is what a letter of invitation looks like. I'll just zoom in a bit. It will have your name here, the institution that you're representing, and the period of travel that you'll be going to Windoor City here. And then the personal information, which should and will have to match what's on your passport, which is here. Okay, and then it will have an official government stamp from the Gaobeidian Municipal People's Government. That's the important part, because that's what you'll need to secure your visa. So just on securing a visa, once you have your letter of invitation, there's a number of ways to go about securing your visa. And so I'll move out of this process and go to this page. So in this, oops, I'll need to get out of here. Okay, so this information is also on the section where the visa, you apply for your letter of invitation. But there are many companies that assist in actually securing visa, business visas, and many people use them for travel. It's certainly the experience of the Passive House Institute that they can make it much simpler to apply for a Chinese visa, though of course you have the option of attending your local embassy, mission or consulate in your country of origin to secure your visa. But we would suggest that you do look at possibly a visa service to accomplish this. We have, for instance, put in one of the visa services we use here in Germany. That's not an explicit endorsement of this company, it's whom we use, but there are many available in Germany, and of course many available, for instance, in Australia, the United States, Canada. Using those company and with your letter of invitation will make it much easier to secure your visa. But of course, you can do it yourself using the information that you would probably find on your own country's Foreign Affairs Department or Immigration Services. And we have some of them listed here, for instance, for the United Kingdom, the European Union, and the United States State Department. So, but it's important that you read this section and then use your letter of invitation with one of these services or your local embassy to get your visa. Okay, So that concludes this section. So there are a couple of questions, and we've got one from individuals, Bernd, who has actually already registered, and they're still waiting for an invitation letter. So Bernd, what we will actually do is I have your registration email, and we can contact you directly, and then my colleague here will try and chase up where your invitation letter is if you haven't already received it. Or if you like, what you can do is email phc-service@windsorcity.com at the bottom of the page here, and then contacts, or conference@passive.de, and say, I still don't have my letter of invitation and we still require it. And then we will, Windor City will either get back to you or that, but we'll chase that up with Windor City and see if we can help you with that situation, Bernd. So we'll look into that for you, okay? Right. Anything? Okay, so I'll quickly move on to the travel section. Okay, so we'll just move on to the travel section and give some tips and advice on how best to get there. So the travel information is actually located under venue and getting there. So here we have the address in China where we are, so in Gaobeidian City, which is Hebei Province. And as I said earlier, it's approximately 1 to 1.25 hours south of Beijing. So for that reason, it's most appropriate, or probably fastest, if you fly into Beijing, and obviously Beijing Capital International Airport. If you fly into Beijing, we have instructions here on how to get there. Once you arrive in Beijing, there are two main ways to get from the airport to Gaobeidian. You can actually take a taxi, and we have details here on how to do so. Please note, it's 120 kilometers and approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes to get there. And importantly, most taxi drivers in Beijing don't speak English. So to accomplish this, we actually have instructions in Mandarin, including the address here, that you can print and use to get a taxi there. So you have an idea of the charge. Our experts in China tell us that the cost from the airport to Windor City is approximately 55 to 70 euros. So if you're traveling in a group, it might be a cost-effective way to to get to Gaobeidian City in your hotel. If not, and you're going to take the train there, you'll need to transfer from the Beijing International Airport to Beijing West Railway Station, or Beijing Xi. To do so, you can take either a taxi or the airport shuttle bus line 7. When you arrive at the train station, you'll be looking to take the G train to Gaobeidian East Railway Station. The journey, including the transfer from the airport, is approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes. The G train is a high-speed train, just for the record, similar to French TGV, for example. Okay. It's important, though, that when you are taking the train, that you are aware that there are security checks to take high-speed trains in China. So you'll need your passport on you, and also need to book your train ticket more than 5 minutes ahead, unlike we're in Europe where you can virtually just step onto a train, and that we suggest leaving at least 30 minutes, but preferably 60 minutes to navigate the security checks and to show your passport and ticket to get on the train. Okay. And we also have the estimated price of the train tickets here. So first class, business class, and second class seats, and how much they cost. And as you can see, the train journey is relatively inexpensive. So the two primary ways to get there are taxi and train. As I mentioned before, Gaobeidian doesn't have a large public transport network itself, so there are taxis there, and that you can take from the hotels to the conference centre or around Gaobeidian itself. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, we have shuttle buses from the hotels to the conference centre, which hopefully will make your travel in Gaobeidian itself much simpler. So I've got a couple of questions I'll answer now on the travel. So Marcus has pointed out that the new Beijing airport at Daxing, I'm not sure that I've said that correctly, that's due to open on the 30th of September, and it's only 25 minutes from Gaobeidian. Now, I believe that is correct, but I'm uncertain whether you can actually book to that location already. No, you can't.
Hello, this is Yaling. Yes, you are right that the airport is just new, but we have the concern that the international flights probably won't land it in this new airport, so it will maybe need to transfer. So we will still recommend you to arrive at the Beijing capital airport. That would be better. But if you have find a better road, that could still work for this new airport. But as far as we know, the international flights are not allowed to land it over there. Yes.
I got a question that Swiss Army knives are prohibited on the train. I can't speak from personal experience about that. I would suggest not traveling with a Swiss Army knife to China, because I just don't think it's probably if they are not allowed, it's one of those things that's probably best to minimise the risk. So I would suggest probably not taking that on if you're unsure. I can't provide any personal experience to that effect, but I would err on the side of caution and not take it just in case. So for those who are interested, we do have a group of individuals that are actually travelling from Europe to Beijing via the Trans-Siberian Railway, which obviously is a rather unique experience, and as they pointed out, is also much better for the environment than travelling by plane. So the information can be found on our website, and you can book or find information about that by actually contacting Paul Simons at blowerdoor.de. The contact information is down here, and try arrange that if that's what you want to do. For the record, the total travel costs are around about between 4,000 and 5,000 euros. So please don't think it's an inexpensive trip, and it does actually take quite a bit of time to travel from Western Europe to Beijing by train as well. So it's not actually something that Passive House Institute is supporting in the sense of we're providing assistance for that, but we do have information on our website for those members of the Passive House community who wish to travel by this rather unique mode of transport in this situation. So that information is here. But again, we can't provide any additional assistance that's being organised outside the Institute itself. I've got a question. Can you tell us about the problems with the Golden Week between the 1st and 7th of October, which is very busy everywhere in China? Well, I don't want to really speak on maybe an issue that I'm not an expert on, but that's in and around the time of China's birthday, if I have that correct. And as a result of it being an extremely important national day, there are obviously many events of political significance in China, and therefore there will be additional security during those weeks, and obviously a lot of things going on in the same way that when we have significant national events, for instance, in the United States, there's always, or in Europe, there's always heightened security around airports or significant monuments. The same obviously applies in China, and it's not particularly different.
Hello, this is Yaling again. Regarding the Golden Week, the one thing you have to be concerned is lots of people in China, then we'll have a national holiday for around 10 days. So you might have to face lots of people will be in the traffic, and you may face the traffic jam, or like in the train there will be lots of people. But in all, it won't be that's a big problem. And yes, so our conference will start at October 8th, and until then it will relatively calm down. Yes, but you might face like most of holiday in your own country, but everything is under control. So it will be fine. Yes.
I guess one of the great analogy is probably traveling on Thanksgiving weekend in the United States. I've done that before, and it's quite bad. So I guess in the same sense that if there's a large national holiday in China, all the airports will be very full. So it's as much as a travel issue as any type of security concerns, but there certainly shouldn't be any worries on that score. So, all right. Does anyone have any additional questions for us on any of the topics? And if not, I will actually speak about a couple of other little nuggets about the conference itself and a bit of additional information. So if you have any questions, please feel free to send them in right now. Okay, so after the conference is concluded and beginning on the 14th of October, there will be some additional tours possible in China. These are not being organised by Windor City, nor specifically by Passive House Institute. They are to projects in China. Most of them are very significant in size, or certainly in execution, such as the first project of its type in a certain region or climate. And here on the link that I clicked through, but on the events section of the International Passive House Association, you can see where you can visit in China. So there are four main places. There's Qingdao, where you'll be able to visit the German-Chinese Cooperation Eco Park, and also the Passive House Settlement South, which is another Barnstadt type area. In Shanghai, there are a number of places to be visited. Most of them are non-residential. In this, how do I say? I have to ask Yaling. That's Li Shu. Is it? Yep. Excusing my poor pronunciation, Li Shu. This is actually a traditional Chinese wooden house that has been retrofit for Passive House. And then in Tianjin, we have a residential high-rise project as well. The contact people have been listed here to contact if you wish to visit those settlements. And as you can see, the emails aren't there now, but that additional information will be added very soon. And then it will be possible for you to contact these people directly to arrange visits to these locations. And if you wish to attend more than one, it might be possible to organise a tour with other people. So these are the additional tours that you will be able to do. For note, if you don't have a large experience with China, each of these locations is quite a significant distance away from each other. So therefore, there's significant travel time between. So for instance, you were traveling from Shanghai to Tianjin and then from Gaobeidian, that's a fair distance to go. Okay, but the contact details for these additional tours will be up soon. So moving on to your questions, I've got one from Junri Shen. Can you talk about the bank transfer? Will the invoice info be lost when it goes through a different bank? I'm not sure about what you mean about the additional information be lost, but with the invoice and the information that's provided to you, if you simply do an international funds transfer from your bank directly to the bank indicated on your invoice, which should match what is on the website, that should work without any problem. It is necessary for you to bear the additional charges for an international funds transfer. So if you are making the funds transfer, those additional charges will have to be borne by you, not Wind or City, when you're paying that invoice, which is standard for most international transfers.
Regarding the different bank, I'm not so sure which invoice bank information you receive, but we do have two different bank, and the reason is we have one is for Euro transfer and one is for Renminbi transfers. So if you check our website and you go to English and German one, you will see the Euro bank account. But if you go to the Chinese website, and you will see the bank account was the Renminbi account. And in order to do, the reason of doing that is because our partner, it will help our partner and also help our participant to go through the process more smoothly. And so I'm not so sure the invoice, the accounts you're receiving, but you can double check on our website. And if you still have any further question, feel free to send to us or feel free to send to Windows City. But it will be really important to make sure which bank account you are transferred. Yes.
Will there be any additional charge when it goes through certain banks? Your own bank, where you originate the transfer from, will have its own set fees for international transfers, and that should be the only fee that you need to worry about. So do I need a visa if coming from the USA if I'm a US citizen? Yes, you most definitely will need a visa to enter as a US citizen. So once you receive your letter of invitation, I would suggest you go to the US State Department website to check in detail for your own situation what you require to do, and then either apply for the visa through the Chinese consulate or embassy or engage a visa service. But you definitely require a visa as a US citizen. We've got a couple of minutes to go. If anyone has any additional questions, just fire them in and we'll round them up, and then I'll conclude the webinar. As I mentioned at the start, if you've missed anything or you want to go over anything again, you can do that at a later, at any time, because this webinar has been recorded. It's going to be available on our webinar service, and it will also be available on the conference website itself and the YouTube channel, the International Passive Houses YouTube channel. So I'm not sure that we've got any further questions. So if that's correct, I'd like to thank you all for attending today. I hope we've been able to clarify any issues. I do understand, Bern, that you've had some difficulties. Please email us, conference@passive.de. Those emails go to my colleagues who I've been with here today. They will assist you in solving those issues. So if you have encountered any issues or difficulties to this point, email us at conference@passive.de, and my colleagues Luzia and Yaling will action them for you. And I'm sorry you had these problems in the first place, but we'll do our best to fix them as soon as we can. But with that, thank you for coming, and we really hope to see all of you in China for what will be a very interesting and exciting time. So we'll be signing off from Passive House Institute here now, and I wish you all a lovely day or evening. All right, thank you very much.